What's up everybody, OT for Tech here, and today we're going to be doing a comparison between the Droid Maxx and the Motorola Moto X. Now these are two of Motorola's top-end flagship phones of 2013, so let's see how they compare and stack up against each other, considering they both are meant to deliver two totally different experiences. So let's start with the boot up. As you can see, the Moto X is bright with a white background, a blue M starting off, and then it turns into basically a globe showing the landscape, the ocean, a city, a plane, and the Verizon Motorola Droid Maxx is your typical, Droid boot up where it announces Droid very loudly and it has the red and black color accents, and you are very well known to it for the Verizon logo. So let's talk about software. The software on these two was identical until today. Today, the unlocked Moto X received 4.4.2 KitKat, while the Droid Maxx still runs on 4.4. And this will be, normal for future updates. The Moto X that is unlocked, or the T-Mobile version, will receive updates much quicker than the other Moto X's and much quicker than the Droid Maxx. They both also feature touchless control. Okay, Google now. Which works just like that, and now you are ready to do voice commands, including searching the web, text messages, or getting directions. They also both feature the twist your wrist to open the camera, which is a very nice feature, and it's very nice that both Motorola phones are now equipped with that feature. Another subtle difference is if you take a look at the status bar. The Moto X has white icons while the Droid Maxx has blue. And the dialer is also different, as the Moto X has the new KitKat dialer and the Droid Maxx is a black and blue keys and running on the old dialer. Some of the icons are different as well. If you take a look, the people and the calendar icons do not match up with each other, and actually the Droid Maxx is more similar to the Nexus 5 when it comes to the calendar icon. Another thing the Droid Maxx has is the command center. This is a widget that goes on your home screen and basically controls your alarm clock. It controls the weather. You can flip the alarm clock over and it gives you access to Droid Zap and Mirror Play. You also have battery controls and, as I said, the weather. And if you flip the battery control over, you can access settings on the fly. This is a very useful widget, and I wish the Moto X had it. So it's a thumbs up and a plus for the Droid Maxx here. Another useful thing that the Droid Maxx offers is notification banners or notification badges. As you can see, when you get an email or a text message, however many you have missed, there will be a number above the icon. So if you're coming from an iPhone, you'll feel right at home with this feature. So let's talk internals and display. Both phones feature the same exact 1.7 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor with a dual-core chip along with the X8 processor for graphics. Now, I ran the Gfx Bench Test on both phones to see how well they performed against each other, and the results were as expected. The Moto X performed a little bit better than the Droid Maxx, but it wasn't significant enough that you're going to notice in everyday use. And I feel the reason why the Moto X actually outperformed the Droid Maxx is because the Droid Maxx features a larger display, so the processor has to work a little bit harder to pump out the display in the Droid Maxx due to the high contrast levels and things like that. And as you can see, the Moto X scored a 23,150 while the Droid Maxx scored a 22,800. Now, I also ran the Gfx Bench Test, and I did this not necessarily just for the results, but I wanted you to be able to see the actual display itself because it plays some pretty good graphics during this, and I can put the phone side by side so that way you can have the experience for yourself seeing the actual display on the Droid Maxx compared to the Moto X. And as you can see, you can tell the difference in the size of the display, and it's going to make a difference if you're like a person that likes to watch YouTube videos or play games on their phone a lot, or just like to browse the web. Then the Droid Maxx might be something that you want to look at. It's also important to add that the Moto X is available on most carriers and all 4 major carriers in the US, while the Droid Maxx is only available on the Verizon network. And it used to be unlocked, and recently Verizon has actually locked it with an update, so you cannot use it on AT&T T-Mobile. Now, you can call and get it unlocked for global use, but as of being here in the US, you're not going to be able to use the Droid Maxx anymore on other US networks. Now, as you can see, the graphics are pumping out pretty good. They're bugging down a little bit. I noticed on both phones it wasn't one greater than the other, but they actually did, back down and skip a little bit because of the amount of frames per second and the processing power. But here, if you take a look at the results, on most of the tests, the Moto X still outperformed the Droid Maxx, but there were a few, such as if you take a look at the T-Rex, I believe the Droid Maxx did a little bit more on the 1080p side. Even though neither phone features a 1080p display, both phones feature a 720 display. The Droid Maxx is 290 or 296 ppi, while the Moto X features 316 ppi. Now, you're not going to notice a difference in everyday use, such as watching videos or viewing web pages or looking at pictures. Where you're going to notice a difference is if you have to pinch to zoom on a text. The text is going to look crisper on the Moto X because of the higher PPI or pixel density rather than the Droid Maxx, which has a lower pixel density. So let's talk about the design of these two phones. Both phones are designed differently because they have different experiences. The Motorola Droid Maxx is thinner, heavier, a little bit bulkier. It has a bigger screen, while the Moto X is more ergonomical. It's meant to fit in your hand, is meant to give you a more usable or user-friendly feel and make it comfortable when you're doing long phone calls or texting or playing games. The Moto X has actually nailed it when it comes to the perfect design for a smartphone with this size of screen. While the Droid Maxx is actually going after a more bulkier, more rugged look. It features the Kevlar backing, while the Moto X is fully customizable on the Moto Maker. But then again, the Droid Maxx has a 3500 milliamp battery powering this beast of a phone, which makes up for the size of it. Now, this is supposed to give you 48 hours of use. I got a little bit more than 24 hours of use on heavy usage. I watched plenty of YouTube videos, I sent text messages, I browsed the web, I did conference calls. So, for over 24 hours of use without having to charge it, it's actually a plus, and I was very happy, and it exceeded my expectations. The Moto X gave me a little bit over 12 hours of use of heavy usage, so about half. Taking a look at the side of the Moto X, you can see the power button and the volume up and down, which are fully customizable in whatever color you want to choose on the Moto Maker website. And taking a look at the side of the Droid Maxx, you can see the power button and the volume up and down is like a rigid metal type feel. And one thing you will not find is a SIM card slot on the Droid Maxx. Now, this is because Motorola has decided to do something quite sneaky and make you able to pop out the volume up and down and use that as a SIM card slot.
You sneaky mom!
Both phones feature the same 10 megapixel camera on the back, and they offer the same image quality. It basically boils down to the image processing software on the phones. Sometimes you get better results on one phone, while sometimes you get better results on the other phone, but roughly they are about the same and you will not hardly notice a difference. Now, the speaker and the flash are a little bit different on both phones. As you can see, the flash is to the left of the camera while it's on the bottom of the camera on the Moto X. The speaker layout is a little bit different, but both offer similar quality, as the Droid Maxx sometimes gets a little bit louder than the Moto X. My personal favorite is the Moto X still, due to its complete customization options, along with how it feels in the hand and the fact that they fit a 3 or 4.7 inch display on this little bitty phone. So I hope you guys like this review and the comparison. Give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment in the section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.